lot of the younger generations are looking for ways to connect with their root that is forgotten.
Having the indigenous people around here is a way of them to remember who they all are.
I've been to many of these festivals that are focused on raising consciousness and awareness, and they've all helped me grow. But I wondered if the indigenous knowledge here at Tribal Gathering would set it apart.
In a word, I think Tribal Gathering is an experience. 18 days on a beautiful Caribbean beach on the north side of Panama. 60 tribes from 30 countries with all kinds of ceremony and workshops and stories and lectures is really what has been the foundation of how the entire thing has come about and been built from the beginning.
The first 10 days is all about sharing tribal knowledge, while the last 5 days is more of your typical psychedelic trance or psytrance music festival. In the beginning, it felt like I was in paradise.
It is the responsibility of elders who still carry indigenous knowledge to share, because there is a need by the younger generation.
Es muy importante compartir entre nosotros porque así aseguramos la continuidad en la enseñanza ancestral a la generación.
All the learning and the workshops were great, but what I really wanted to know was how all this was connected to the Psytrance party at the end of the festival.
One of the things that I've noticed is that the modern dance and trance and even the rave culture to some extent or another is almost emulating a lot of the ceremonies that we used to do ancestrally. So, for example, the trance state in itself has always been used to connect with spirit and to liberate emotion, and it's a form of healing that we have been using for a really long time that had been kind of forgotten. So I think it's actually really good to pair these two things together to bring the wisdom and the value back into our modern cultures. So it's not just meaningless partying, but it's actually being used for its original ancestral healing purpose as well.
Psytrance truly is about sort of a neo-tribalism feeling, like you've got one owns individual self-expression is what creates certain levels of unity and cosmic connectivity on the dance floor. And so if people are already in that mindset as they're moving into that celebration based on true indigenous tribal culture, then that dance floor that already is this way and is already trying to elicit this type of response from people is only exponentiated because they've already been building this sort of tribal understanding coming into dance music that is based around that sort of expression.
This is a place for people who are interested in tribal knowledge, and in some ways it just sort of happens that like the music that our generation, that this crowd is into, is like electronic music. And we want to come here to learn, and we also want to come here to enjoy ourselves and have a good time, and that's what people get down to.
As the days went on, this became more and more apparent. Many were here for both aspects of the festival, including the party, which I thought was fine at first.
When I first read about the festival, I was like, okay, cool, like they're splitting it up into a few different weeks. Like, I think that if they're gonna have all of these different things in one space, it makes a lot of sense to have, you know, indigenous immersion first, and then we move into music and dance and all of that. So that's really what I was expecting, and kind of like felt like was also more respectful to the indigenous people that are attending. I identify as indigenous. I come from a mixed background. There's a lot of really amazing things being talked about in the workshops, but it feels like the amount of people who are actually attending and really learning are so few compared to the amount of people that are like getting wasted. Last night, they've been playing techno music for the last 24 hours. The bass is so loud that you can hear it in the ground, and we haven't even done the closing ceremony for all of the tribes that have attended. It feels super contradictory. It feels like a bunch of neo-colonial bullshit. It feels like a big profit grab off of Indigenous people once again. And I guess I should have assumed that when there was no mention of decolonization or re-indigenization or anything like that on the website. If there's a connection between the Indigenous healing and the education, the work that needs to be done, and the dancing and the techno and the psytrance and the drugs and the drinking, I'm having an incredibly difficult time finding that.
The more people I talked to, the more I realized that Kai wasn't the only one feeling the disconnect. Although there were many Indigenous acts throughout the week, there was a lot of other stuff going on as well that some definitely felt was a distraction.
I believe that the people are here. They're here to heal. You know, everyone has to start somewhere, and it's different levels. The drugs, you know, the narcotics, that's very low vibrational, and it's okay. You know, some people heal in a low vibrational state, and some people, like myself, we prefer the natural, you know, we prefer going back to nature. We prefer that type of medicine.
Some people probably aren't here for all of the tribal knowledge, and I don't think the tribes people really mind that not everybody wants that, but they're here for the people that do want it, and whoever shows up to the workshop, they give it to them.
A few years ago, it was only the Indigenous part, and now today, you know, it's taken a shift towards integrating more trance music, more trends. Everybody these days, they carry a crystal, you know, they don't know why, but they're just attracted to it. They burn candles, they're into yoga, and they're into spirituality. It's very trendy.
Learning that the festival had started off as just a tribal gathering with no dance party at the end really made me wonder. Had all this now turned into a big party, disguised as spiritualism, designed to capitalize on that very trend?
You know, it's a two-part festival. They start out with this Indigenous immersive part where everyone's into the workshops, and you know, they still have some party at night, but it's generally more on the like local Indigenous type bands than like heavy electronic music. And then when it totally transitions to psytrance, all the tribes leave because that's not their scene anymore, and people who are just here to like really like party and get down intense with that, it's on a little different side of the pole there.
Generalmente nosotros estamos solamente la parte del festival que son al principio, pero la gente que no son indígenas vienen desde el principio y quedan hasta el final del festival, donde viene ya la cultura en sí, la cultura europeo-americana, donde queda la música. Este festival dura 15 días, pero ya nosotros salimos en esa parte del festival que es los últimos 5 días.
Todos somos uno.
And so the closing ceremony took place, the tribes left, and the all-night psytrance began. But there was one tribe whom I knew was staying right until the very end.
We are today here at tribal gathering, what our ancestors have prayed for thousands of years ago. There is a great opportunity of experience ancient cymatic sound, vibration, and frequencies by clapping the hands and stamping the feet around the fire, and people realize the enormous energy that comes from inside each and every one that have shipped them out to other dimensions without electronic music, but just to mention the incredible power of sound and vibration and frequency that is all inside ourselves, that we can create it, and with that sound, electronic music had come to exist. So slowly it will bring us back to where we are, and somehow this high-powered electronic music help us to get into beat and start remember we can dance and we can move. And so psytrance, which is a mind-altering music, instead of just like pop music, which is music that speaks with vibrations and sound frequencies. Well, that is what the whole makeup of the universe is: sound, vibration, frequency.
This whole festival is about our roots and where we came from, and the whole like drumming and the repetitive and the trance. I think I'm not an expert on tribal culture, but there seems to be a lot of drumming and that sort of beat that gets you into a place in your own head. And psytrance is kind of like a modernized version of that, I think.
What I wanted to do is just sort of think back what I've experienced these last few weeks, and a lot of it's been a hell of a lot of fun and a lot of silliness, but there's also been a little bit of sort of spiritual shit go down. I don't know if anybody else has felt that, but some sort of deep shit, sort of cosmic connections. And one of the things that I got reminded about is the importance of sort of walking the middle way, yeah?
I think a lot of people who attend these types of festivals are searching for that middle way between consciousness and hedonism. And that balance is just different for everyone.
There are people who think that the direction of this festival is a little bit off from the original mission of creating unity. Personally, I don't see it as something bad. Anything that will help a person to be at peace inside or be able to connect with his or her higher self, just do it. Someone may need that loud music in order to wake up. So anything that will help us achieve inner peace, go for it.